Welcome back to another edition of It's Still Real to Me. Jonathan Zaslow, Joey Levine here. And of course, It's Still Real to Me, as well as everything ZASLOW Show 2.0 is always brought to us by our title sponsor, Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you're involved in any kind of accident, it could be a slip and fall, a hit and run, motorcycle, boating. I send you to Anidjar and Levine, not just because they're the title sponsor of ZASLOW Show 2.0, but because you're going to be treated like family while you're taking care of your health. They're going to take care of getting you the money you deserve. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We love wrestling, so we get you another wrestling show here this weekend. Joey, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing well. How you doing, Zaz?
I'm good. I loved SmackDown last night, man. SmackDown's fresh on my mind. And it's funny, I was at the Marlins game last night, so I didn't watch SmackDown live. I put it on at about 9:45, 10-ish. And I was at the Marlins game last night. And on my way home, my son was looking at his phone. He goes, I see on Twitter. Now I don't look for any spoilers or anything like that. And my son says, I see that the Bloodline segment has taken up half the show. And I'm like, good. The only thing better is if it took up the whole show. So I can't wait to get home. And of course, the opening segment last night was 35 minutes. And then you had
actually 40 if you count coming back from commercial and them taking Jimmy to the ambulance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not even count that. Okay, so
because the first commercial was at the 35-minute mark, and then they came back from commercial and they did the backstage where they took Jimmy to the ambulance. So really, they didn't move on to Sheamus in the ring for the Austin Theory match until about like 8:41, 8:42. And I was tracking that too because it was crazy.
And it
I watched it live.
And the length of everything kind of set everything off the rest of the show because you didn't even get Sheamus's intro. It's the United States Championship match. Sheamus, a future Hall of Famer. You didn't even get Sheamus's intro. You had AJ Styles and Karrion Kross, which wasn't even worth having on the show because it was like 3 minutes long. And then the final segment, I believe, when you had Roman and Jay again, I don't think we did Roman's whole intro again. So
no, there's something weird with that. Yeah,
the whole show was set off because of the timing.
Yeah, and then and also in the next 20 minutes after the Bloodline stuff, there was 4 commercial breaks.
Yeah, they had to make
because they had to make them all up. I mean, it was literally like they went to commercial. Theory and Sheamus did like a move each. They went back to commercial. There was 2 commercial breaks just in that match. It was but it was fascinating to me while I was watching that segment because I was like, man, this is how obviously we understand how big Bloodline is and how popular it is and how big it is for the company, but to go basically 35 minutes with no commercials on Fox.
Well, they did one when Roman came to the ring. As he was about to step in the ring, they went to commercial. And then they came back and he was in the ring. And then they did the whole segment. They did one commercial.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. I guess it was so long. I guess I forgot about the first commercial.
Yeah. They did one. Yeah. And then the second one was the ambulance. But still, you had one commercial in the first 35 minutes of a network show. That's really rare. So
it's amazing. Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. What I thought was a fantastic SmackDown last night. And of course, we're officially on the march to SummerSlam, which is, I guess we're talking 4 weeks away. They announced
August 5th.
They announced Survivor Series. I'm always holding out when they announce the big shows. Can we get it here in Florida? Not even South Florida, because South Florida sucks for pro wrestling. We're a terrible pro wrestling crowd. But like, I want it to be Orlando or Tampa, because those are actually great pro wrestling towns, as evidenced by at the end of this month, you have Raw and SmackDown are in both Tampa and Orlando, and almost the entire building of both venues for Raw and SmackDown are completely sold out. And I'm not just talking about them using, 2/3 of the building and you don't sell the camera side. No, WWE sells the whole building if they can. So, and can I tell you something else about selling the whole building? And they did this for Money in the Bank. I don't know if we talked about it last weekend, but I hope that, and I think they're doing this for SummerSlam also. I love when they have the minimalistic stage. meaning no stage. You got the long walkway, and the wrestlers, you got the seats are sold and the fans are on top of the entrance.
I think Triple H kind of talked about that. I actually think he talked about that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's crowd dependent. I believe when I was watching the post presser, either he said it or somebody reported it, whatever, but it's crowd dependent. So if they have a crowd that they know is going to sort of dominate the show like that, they just make it like, let's just let the crowd do their thing. Let's have a minimal walkout.
It gives it a big fight feel like that.
Right. But I
love that.
I guess when they're going somewhere where they're not sure, or, it's not a London or a Puerto Rico crowd, right? It's there's a spectacle, there's a lot of pyro, there's the whole thing, so that it like sort of takes attention away.
I love the minimalistic old school setup, man. You go back and look at all those setups back like during not even just Attitude Era, but in the golden era, of course. And just that old school setup where you sell the whole building. Granted, there weren't as many television shows back during the golden era, so you can count on there being a huge crowd. I love that real fight feel to it. Like, you got last week at Money in the Bank, and like, I'm pretty sure based on the seating setup for SummerSlam, they're doing the long entranceway. And if you got the long entranceway, they're doing a minimalistic setup.
Right. Where is SummerSlam? Wait, I just had it pulled
Detroit.
Up. SummerSlam is. Oh yeah. Okay, that's interesting. We'll see. I mean, it's very much like UFC 292. I think it is tonight, and that's how their entrance will be. It'll be, the lights will go down. Like on the main card for the main event, the lights will go down. They'll play music. There'll be a video, but it'll mainly just be a long walkway. Let the crowd react to who they want to react to, and you just show the fighter walking out.
Love it. Let's start with AEW here. We got a lot of WWE to get to, but let's start with AEW here. And I know I only watched half of Rampage last night. I saw Hangman Adam Page lost to Dark Order in the opener, so clearly they're going somewhere. I don't know
what the hell is happening there.
Well, clearly they're going somewhere with that story, Hangman versus Dark Order. Dark Order's
I don't know. Well, again, this is one of those things where AEW doesn't always do the greatest job of explaining storylines that are on Being the Elite.
Right.
Being the Elite, like Hangman and Dark Order is a storyline that's been going on Being the Elite for like back to like right after, like even when Brody was alive. And so like they don't, now they're just picking it back up on TV, and they're not. I don't know that they've explained sort of the backstory of why people need to care about that.
I don't watch Being the Elite, but I feel like I'm caught up with the story. I mean, Dark Order's upset that he's back with the Elite instead of teaming with them. And then last week, it may have been Dynamite, maybe it was Collision last week. Blackpool Combat Club came out to beat the shit out of Hangman, and Dark Order just watched and then walked away. So, like, they're heel now. I think we've established that. So they're heel now.
It's hard. It's gonna be hard though. I mean, Johnny, what's his name? I'm forgetting all their names. I know John Silver, Johnny Hungy. Like, people love that guy. He's hilarious. Like, he's hard to, and even Alex Reynolds. I mean, those two guys are hilarious. It's gonna be hard to.
Yeah, but if John Silver stops being hilarious and starts to be a piece of shit, I mean, they'll boo him.
I guess. Yeah, he's so little, and he has these like his proportions are so. He's got Popeye muscles. Yeah, it's hard to like take him seriously as an asshole. He's just, even when he's trying to be a dick, he's just kind of funny.
So the big story, though, there's a couple of big stories, but I think the biggest story with AEW right now involves the championship. And I know this is like a hot button issue as far as the internet wrestling community is concerned, because there are two sides to it. I think one side where I think the MJF Adam Cole stuff has been fun. But then there's the other side of it where I think some people are angry about it because you have the world championship that's involved in kind of like a silly, fun balloons angle between Adam Cole. Like, it's almost like the friendship festival, that Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, did.
Or it's what MJF and Jericho did 2 years ago.
It really seems like, clearly. Like, MJF is trying to convince Adam Cole that, hey, I'm not a terrible guy. And I dig it, because while we all know where it's going, I like being able to see MJF's, almost acting chops. Like I find MJF to be highly entertaining in this role. I think he's really good at it. And I like seeing where I like seeing how are they going to get Adam Cole to fall for it? Or maybe he'll never actually fall for it. So like, I'm cool with this bit. I like it.
I think actually, I don't know. I didn't see, I didn't see a lot of negativity towards this on Twitter. To be honest, I mostly saw positivity. My opinion of what I saw this week on Dynamite was this is the best shit MJF's done in like a year.
Yeah,
like I think what they're doing is incredible. Now,
I like MJF coming out and imitating him and doing all of that. Like when they're walking down to the ring and MJF is doing the hands out and Adam Cole's giving him the stink eye. That shit's funny to me, man.
Listen, these two guys are gonna fight for the tag titles. This is gonna happen. They're gonna win this tournament. Like I think people think it's like, oh, when are they gonna turn on each other? When's that? They're gonna win this tournament and they're gonna be friends for a bit. Like this is like seems like the oldest like story arc in the book where they're going to be friends for a little bit, and then eventually they will turn on each other. They might even win the tag titles. I honestly think they might even win the tag titles.
I really dig the blind tournament.
It's weird. I've never heard of it, but I think it's a new. Is it a new concept? Because I've never heard of it.
I think it's just fun seeing random dudes having a team together. Like when I was watching last week, and you had Daddy Magic teaming with the Butcher. That's fucking weird, man. Like I like it. I'm into it.
Now, here's what the one thing I would say about the people who are concerned about the title and it being part of something like this.
Cares.
I think to me, the larger concern, if that's your concern, is that maybe MJF just shouldn't be the champ. And the reason I say that is look at like his programs. When he's with somebody who is like a Hall of Fame caliber performer, he's the best in the business. Like when he's with Jericho, there was nothing better. Now he's with Cole. This is the best thing in AEW. His match with Bryan Danielson was incredible. But what happened when the champ had to go against a bunch of mid-carders? No one gave a shit.
So you're saying the champ should be making everyone else look better?
Yes. And should be elevating the status of the title, no? Like the champ should make the title, not the title make the champ. Isn't that what they always say? Like,
yeah.
And right now, the AEW title, for a long time now with MJF, I think we've talked about this. It seems like a secondary story on the show, and that's not just starting now that he's in a tag team with Adam.
But like right now, I don't think. But like right now, I don't think it's secondary. I think it's the best thing they got going right now.
Right, and but is it because of MJF or is it because of Adam Cole?
But it's not based around the championship.
Right, exactly. Now, and then the other thing I was thinking about this too is something I've brought up to you a couple times. I think Tony Khan watches WWE and says in his mind, oh, I could do what you guys do better. Because what has been going on with the Bloodline and the champion in WWE now for a couple months? Hasn't been fighting in singles matches. He's been in a tag team. He's been doing tag team matches. Well, all of a sudden, now the AEW champion doesn't have a feud and he's in a tag team. It's weird. It's weird. It's interesting.
I mean, he's got a lot of programming to fill. To be spending time also watching WWE. I can hardly watch all the programming, and I'm sitting here on my ass, So I don't.
But either way, I think it's incredible. I love it. I think they should let it go. Like let it keep going for a while. I would put the belts on them. I would put the tag belts on them.
So where are they?
They're that good.
Where are they with this tournament? Like how far along are we with this tournament?
I believe there's 4 teams left. I think.
Like, is it commencing at Wembley Stadium?
I honestly don't know. Like, it all kind of came out of nowhere. The tournament that AEW shoves down our throats is the Owen Hart tournament. That's all I know.
I have no idea where we are with that either.
Yeah, but this blind eliminator tournament, there's too many tournaments. There should be like one tournament at a time.
There probably should not be multiple tournaments at a time because I am not keeping track. I have a hard time.
It's hard to keep track, especially when it just feels like Adam Cole and MJF, this tournament is it was made for them.
Absolutely.
Like it was made to enhance their storyline.
Absolutely.
So it's like hard to keep track of what else is even going on. I think let's see. Oh, Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia, I guess, are a team.
Oh yeah, they were fighting last night. I'm in the middle of Rampage as they're entering the ring. I didn't see if they won.
Okay, I think they advanced. I guess Big Bill and Brian Cage maybe are going to be advancing, and then Darby and Orange Cassidy are another. So that's the semifinals, I think.
Okay.
I don't know what the matchups are, but those are the 4 teams. It sounds like.
Okay, and I know as far as the Owen Hart, like Kenny Omega lost, and I saw a few days ago where Ruby Riott beat Britt Baker. And if I could tell you one quick thing about
Willow's still in, right? Willow lost her title in New Japan too.
Oh, really? And if I could tell you one thing about Ruby Riott,
Stinks.
Toni Storm, Saraya, the Outsiders, it's growing on me. It's growing on me. I don't hate it. Like, they're heels. They're very unlikable. And I think with a little bit of, I feel completely different now than I did at first. I didn't care. I don't think there's anything to this. And now I'm like, all right, you're good heels. I like not liking you. Like, I think the Outsiders is working. Well, no, they're not called the Outsiders, the Outcasts. I think the Outcast is working. I'm fine with it. I like it. And I like Toni Storm.
Okay, here's a question about the Outcasts. Toni Storm is the worker. She's the one. She's the
she's the champ.
She's the champ. Whatever. Seems to me that Ruby Riott is the talker, the mouthpiece. What the hell is Saraya? What is she there for?
I mean,
what is her purpose?
She clearly can't wrestle all the time.
Right, but she doesn't even talk anymore either. Like, what is her purpose of being part of this group right now?
Her purpose is to come to the ring and give the middle finger. That's what she does.
Yeah, I know. You know what? You're probably right in it growing on you, and
I'm into
it. They're probably right in doing what they're doing because I hate it, and that's probably the goal. The goal is that I hate them, and I think they're not entertaining at all. But that's probably, I guess, the point of them being monster heels.
Yeah,
but I'm not a fan of it, but that's probably, I guess that's the point. Mark.
So speaking of monster heels, Don Callis is inviting Chris Jericho to I guess join his. He's not inviting him to join Blackpool Combat Club. He's not really in. Callis is not really associated.
No, he's inviting him to join the Don Callis family.
Yeah, he's just kind of leeching on to Blackpool Combat Club with Takeshita. But he's inviting Jericho to join his group there. And I got to tell you, I'm all for it. I think you got 2 guys. Like, Jericho's really good at getting you hate him if he wants. Callis is impossible to like. And I think there's an opportunity for some fun stuff there for Jericho to be running around with Don Callis. Like, I'm into it. And he ended the segment saying, "Baby, I like where this is going. I'm into the 2 of them doing stuff together."
Yeah, and I think eventually you can have a Takeshita Jericho thing. And obviously, I think what seemingly is the most, at least it seems obvious to me, is that they're doing this because Bryan Danielson's hurt and Blackpool Combat Club needs a 5th person for Blood and Guts.
So what's going to happen then with Jericho
and that 5th person?
But what's going to happen with Jericho and Jericho Appreciation Society? They're going to start to get pissed at him. They're like, "Hey, what are you hanging out
I think that's
for?"
Yeah, I think was there a segment? Maybe I missed it because I had a buddy who was like, who said that Blackpool or that Jericho Appreciation Society asked him already, and he was like, I can't, hold your hands forever or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it then.
But I didn't see that segment, so maybe it was like a digital thing, or maybe it was a social clip that they put out. But I didn't see that. But right now we have BCC and the Elite. They've announced Blood and Guts, but each team has one more slot to fill because it's 5-on-5. And Bryan Danielson's hurt. Eddie Kingston is in the G1, so those 2 will not be in it. So it seems like Callis, Takeshita will be the 4th member of Blackpool Combat Club because he's Callis's guy,
right?
And then Jericho, they'll take some convincing, and then maybe Jericho will join Blackpool Combat Club for that match.
And we need one more on the other side.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear who that is.
Well, let me think for a second. All right, so you got Omega, you got the Bucks, you got Hangman, and we need one more. So who is it? Who am I not thinking of?
Kota Ibushi.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it's got to be it. I mean, there's nobody else. I mean, they said on Dynamite, I think, or whenever they were announcing it, Eddie Kingston is in the G1 tournament for New Japan. He cannot be in Blood and Guts. So there is nobody. There's nobody in AEW that would make sense.
It's a little disappointing, though, is it not?
No, not if you know the history of these guys.
No, but I'm saying like Eddie Kingston, like, don't you want him in blood and guts and acting like an insane person? That's the part.
No, I think you want Kota Ibushi in AEW as soon as possible and as long as possible, and interacting with Kenny Omega, bring back the Golden Lovers tag team, bring back the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi with those Kota. I don't know how
Golden Elite versus Bullet Club Gold one day.
Absolutely. I mean, Kota Ibushi. There's also Murder Ibushi when he like gets angry in the ring and just starts people. And he just like starts working stiff. It's one of the best things in wrestling. Okay. I mean, it's incredible. Another thing you should check out on Twitter. There was like this this clip that was going around like a month ago or a month and a half ago. It still pops up every now and then. Kota Ibushi was, I guess it was like a Japanese like game show or something, where like he's just walking down the street in Japan, and all of a sudden like they
doing
set
Japanese
up like
man on the street.
Well, no, they set up like these people come behind him as he walks past like a walkway, and they set up a ring behind him, and then as he's walking, he doesn't notice it, and Asia Kong, remember Asia Kong?
Yeah,
she's there. She's like in the ring, and then he doesn't notice it, and as he's walking, a mob of people turn the corner and start chasing him. So he's running from the mob and turns around and sees just a ring in the middle of the street and has a wrestling match.
Okay.
It's absurd. It's one of the most absurd things I've seen, but it's awesome.
Okay. All right.
No, but I think that's going to be who it is. He's awesome.
All right.
I think it'll be really fun to have him there.
So those are really the things this week that grab my attention as far as
and Jon Moxley getting a bunch of sticks jammed into his face.
Well, but that wasn't on in AEW.
No, that was New Japan.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, I think you know how I feel about Moxley. Like, I know there's like that stuff's not for me. I think there's a time and place for it, you know, but that stuff where it's just every time we get in the ring, and that's always the case when Moxley is doing the other promotions where it's like, oh, Moxley's here, let's be crazy violent. It's not for me, you know. And
I don't remember what. Yeah, I don't like it. But it just seems like everyone. This is like they're talking about like this is his dream.
Oh yeah, this is his thing.
He's in like his perfect situation, getting stabbed in the face. It's like
I don't get it.
But I gotta be honest, as like it's just AEW in general. Like I know that was in New Japan, but outside of like the top level like stories that are like great, like I love the MJF Cole stuff. I love the Elite, Blackpool Combat Club, like actual story, Jericho Callis, but like there's like I don't get a lot of the stuff they're doing. Like I texted you a couple times. It's like why is Sting jumping off a ladder and hitting his face on a table? Why do I have to watch Dustin Rhodes? With Dustin Rhodes, 54 years old, obviously blading, like and just bleeding all over the place. I know the people are saying like, oh, well, they're making those decisions. Tony Khan lets them make those decisions. That's negligence to me. Sting is 65 years old. He shouldn't be allowed to make that decision. He should be told, you cannot do this, you know?
The thing that bothers me about the Sting stuff is instead of enjoying the match, I spend the entire match hoping I'm not about to watch Sting die in the ring. And that to me is not enjoyable, you know?
Not at all. Yeah. But that last one, and I saw I think it was Dutch Mantel or one of these old guys who criticized AEW.
Right.
They posted a slowed down clip where Darby and Aubrey were holding the wrong side of the ladder. Okay. You know how they hold the ladder? So they were holding the back. They were both holding the back of the ladder, and he was standing on the front. So when the front will still like sort of rock. So you can kind of see when he went to jump outside
he came up kind of short.
Oh my! He slammed his face on who was he jumping onto? I don't even remember who he was jumping onto, but he slammed it. I thought he was out. I was shocked he got back up. It was just gross. I don't need to see that. And it's like,
I don't like it.
Why do I don't need a 65-year-old wrestling full time anyways. I definitely don't need him jumping off a ladder.
Yeah, Yeah, it feels like, I mean, you've seen the movie The Wrestler, Mickey Rourke. Like, it feels like he's just trying to die in the ring.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I said this a couple of weeks ago. AEW has an old issue. They have a lot of old guys still wrestling that we don't need to see. I just don't need to see these guys on a regular basis. Keith Lee or whoever, no, Will Hobbs. There's so many people in AEW that Will Hobbs could have fought in the Owen Hart tournament. Why does it have to be Dustin Rhodes? And why does Dustin Rhodes have to bleed all over the place? There's so many guys. I just don't get it. It's not necessary. Make him coach. Make him be a coach.
Let's get to last night. Yeah. Last night, Tribal Court, Madison Square Garden. I loved SmackDown last night. That shit was awesome. Like I said, the only thing better than it being 35, 40 minutes would have been if it took up the entire show. And it was great because think about this, man. Obviously, the one that everybody can remember the most is, and I think it was a build-up for SummerSlam, or SummerSlam, was Cena in the ring with Roman Reigns. And Cena just annihilating him, just killing him. And, I mean, you want to talk about sink or swim, like, that's what, like, Roman Reigns was sinking in that segment. And granted, that's like 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was. But, man, fast forward to now, and you got Roman Reigns crying on cue in the ring. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Crying on cue, Roman Reigns. Yeah. Unbelievable. That's hard to do. Unbelievable. So, I mean, he really has established himself. He is an all-time great. I loved him back then anyway. I didn't hate all that shit the way everyone else did in the internet wrestling community. I mean, for my money, this guy is always putting on banger matches. I love a Roman Reigns match. I love the slow build. I love how methodical it is. I love watching Roman Reigns, man. But this dude is all time. And to be able to cry on command, and by the way, I had no idea when he was on his knees last night, he gives the lay to Jay. I had no idea where they were going. Like, I literally said out loud to myself, what is happening? I had no idea what they were doing. And he gives up the lay, tosses the belt aside. That was the part, the belt. When he tossed the belt, I was like, what is going on? No, for me, it was when he began to bend the knee. And I was like, what? That to me, like, I gasped. What are they doing? And then you got Paul Heyman in the background, who, I mean, has never been more unlikable. I mean, he is so sniveling. He's always crying. His lips are always trembling at anything negative involving. Unbelievable, though. And at the end of the segment where you have Heyman yelling, I acknowledge you. I mean, he has never been more unlikable, Paul Heyman. He is impossible to stomach. And I had no idea where the segment was going, man. And the part that almost stands out the most to me is how evil, like the thing that I'm taking maybe the most out of that segment last night is how evil Solo Sikoa is. Because he's holding up Jay, and it's like the scene in Casino, right? Where they make Joe Pesci watch them. Have you seen Casino? They make They make Joe Pesci watch them beat his brother to death in the grave. You're gonna watch what we're gonna do to your brother. And so Solo is doing that with Jay. You're gonna watch what we do to him, but it's his brother too. Yeah, it's his brother also. That's been the main thing, and I get it. I understand that he's sent by the elders and he doesn't listen to anybody, and he's brainwashed by Roman and but like that's the one thing of all of the bloodline stuff that I'm just like, what's? Well, I guess they're differentiating between the relationship between brothers and the relationship between twin brothers and age difference. I think they're a lot older than Solo too, right? Like they grew up together, and Solo's a lot younger. Yes. Well, remember, apparently Roman, when Solo debuted and saved Roman at Clash at the Castle against Drew McIntyre, Roman said that at that point, it was the first time he had seen Solo in like 16 years. Right. Because there's such a huge age gap in their family that he doesn't really have a relationship with Solo. Solo's 30 and the Usos are 37. It's not that huge. I mean, it's big. It's not that huge. Right, but he didn't have a relationship. Roman did not have a relationship with Solo growing up. 7 years
and
can be
Roman's
a lot
38.
for a sibling. 7 years is a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, and Roman's 38. So for a cousin, let's see.
Let's say they're 15, 16 years old. What kind of relationship you can have with an 8-year-old?
No, I get it. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, yeah, Jimmy and Jay, they were, high school. They were in high school doing their own thing, and Solo's in whatever, probably elementary school at that point still. Yeah.
But that to me is wild. Like, you're going to watch what we do to your brother. Oh, by the way, it's also your brother. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, this whole thing, I said it a couple weeks ago, I think, that I was ready a couple weeks ago, and this just best storyline ever. And I look, there's a lot of people knock it and say Roman doesn't wrestle enough, or it's kind of a little repetitive, this and that. So what? It works, and it's incredible. It's compelling.
I don't see it that way.
The two of us have been watching wrestling basically our entire lives, and last night for a 90-second
I'll bet the ratings were a monster last night. I'll bet it was a monster.
Of course. Like, I went to dinner at like 6:30 last night, and it wasn't going to be like a long dinner, but I was like, you know what? I don't normally I wasn't at my house. I was at my mom's house. So I was like, you know what? Let me DVR just in case just in case we don't get back in time and they start the show with this, because usually Bloodline ends the show. And
they did both.
It makes sense. But it makes sense why they open the show with it, because they're like, you know what? This segment's going to be long. Like, I don't know that segment was supposed to be 35 minutes.
It definitely was not supposed to be 35 minutes.
But I would imagine they probably saw what was going on and were like, we just got to go. We just got to let this go. And it was. I would imagine it was probably one of the most watched segments. People were probably texting. Like, I had texted my brother. I'm sure people were texting each other like, "Are you watching wrestling right now?"
It's awesome.
Like, yeah, it's one of those moments where they just continue to top themselves. And like I was saying, like, us two guys who watched it our entire lives, there was 90 seconds, 2 minutes there last night where genuinely we had no clue what the fuck was going on.
I was stunned when he bent the knee. Stunned.
That means that not only did they do their job, but they did an incredible job. Like, we do a podcast every week. We're the type of guys who watch it and try to analyze what's going to happen next, and we have no fucking clue what's going on. It doesn't get better than that. That is what wrestling supposed to be. There's people that are like, oh, the match is. Then you don't understand what this is all about. Like, what they are doing right now and what they've been doing is the peak of what this.
Yeah, if you didn't love last night, wrestling's not for you. I mean, it's the simplest way of putting it. That shit was so good. And at the end of the night, we all got exactly what we wanted. Where for the first time, you had Jay letting everybody know, I want your titles. And he's, for the first time ever,
combat,
holding up the belt. He's holding up the title, and you better accept, because I'm going to beat your ass. I mean, and like that crowd in Detroit, man, I don't know if he's going to win, but that crowd is going to be hot as hell for him.
I know we're going to talk about it later, but he's not.
It's going to be hot as hell for him, that crowd.
Oh yeah. They already are.
Wait, man. They're the biggest. They're the biggest baby faces. I mean, you got Cody, massive baby face, and then the Usos, biggest baby face.
Rollins. I mean, the song, right? I mean, just because. Well,
but how about they were all singing the Usos song the whole way down?
I know. No, they're massive. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than where they're at right now.
Major stars.
But I mean, look, not that they won't pull the trigger here, but there was nobody bigger on the planet than Sami Zayn when he was up against Roman Reigns. They didn't pull the trigger. There was nobody bigger than Cody Rhodes on the planet when he went up against Roman Reigns, and they didn't pull the trigger. And now there's nobody bigger than Jey Uso on the planet. I don't know. I just don't see it.
I don't know.